Hey guys, and welcome back to New Earth Alchemy, where we learn how to take what we have and alchemize it into something that we want. Speaking on terms of healing, manifestation, and creating a better world for us all. Today's episode is for you if you're interested in those things. But specifically today, we're talking about mindset and how to be laser focused with what you got going on in your head, instead of like squirrel brain and things being all jumbled up and mixed up and random with poor recollection of what essentially brain organization, thought organization. And there's a lot of ways to do this. Journaling and meditation come to mind as great tools for thought organization and finding clarity. But when we're speaking on mindset specifically, it's more of like updating how your brain works. Meditation and journaling is more of like a practice where you carve out time in your day to actually sit and rewire your brain. Whereas mindset is the rewiring. It's the actual outcome that you're looking for. One of my favorite analogies for this is the puppy analogy that I may or may not have come up with myself. I have no idea actually. It just kind of popped in my brain one day and I've been using it ever since. But essentially, our minds are like untrained puppies, right? They just, by default, if you get a puppy, and anybody who's ever had a puppy will know, puppies are terrible. Before they're trained, they're chewing on everything, they're making a mess, they're peeing on stuff in the house. And then if they're not really trained properly or cared for properly, if they may not just grow out of it on their own. And then if their owner is rough with them, mean to them, then they may grow up to be aggressive or fearful and skittish. But if you take that puppy and you give it love and safety and you give it the proper socialization with other people and other dogs, then it'll grow up being well-trained, well-mannered, friendly, happy little dog. Generally speaking. Remember, nothing is universal and everything is relative. Don't come at me with technicalities or exceptions. So our brains, our minds are the exact same here. If we don't train it, it's just kind of running rampant, doing whatever it wants with not much direction. Maybe aggressive with other people, snapping or biting at people, figuratively, when our emotions go unchecked. Maybe even attacking the mirror, yada yada, continue the analogies. So this untrained puppy mind brain of ours is just kind of doing what it does naturally, unattended, right? It's unaware that there are, because it's never had training, that it has no idea that there are other better ways to act and be until it has that training, until someone comes along and shows it how exactly to navigate oneself and manage all of these intensities that come with being human. So the training comes from the practice, the journaling, the meditation, the mindfulness and awareness in the moment when things occur and give us the opportunity to practice our patience, focus, understanding, all of the things that we want to practice here. But where do we get the training curriculum, right? Well, that comes from everywhere. Just like our puppy brain grew from its situations and circumstances just by default of what was happening around it, what it was interacting with, this is the same way we get the curriculum to exchange out some of those negative patterns, unhelpful patterns that we don't want anymore, that we don't like, that are not serving us. But instead of previously, it was all by default, whatever was coming in was just by complete chance and more or less randomness. Now we're moving forward with more intentionality. Words are hard sometimes, yeah. Purpose, mindfulness, awareness of everything that we're interacting with, and if it serves us or not. Which brings me to this awesome point that I just read in a book. The book is called Mastermind, How to Think Like Sherlock Holmes by Maria Konnikova. And I would love to tell you more about it later when I actually finish it. I still have like 5 hours left of listening to that. But it gave us this concept of our mind being, they call it the brain attic or the mind attic. And I love, love, love this concept because what do you put in an attic? Go ahead. I'll pause. What do we put in the attic? Boxes of crap, right? Boxes of stuff that get forgotten about, get dusty, get all jumbled. And our mind is the same way. Everything that we consume, we're just randomly sticking things in there, right? And they brought up the great point of how, due to this chaotic, just haphazard sticking of information in our brains, in our mind attic, because this is happening to each and every one of us, whether we're aware of it or not. It's just a natural phenomenon for us to take things from our external world and just stick it in our heads, and it stays there. But the recollection of it doesn't always come back out accurately. You know, just like you have something you have an old toy in a box in an attic, and you leave it there for, say, 10 or 15 years. You go get it finally, and it's a little ragged, yeah. It's dirty, it's dusty, the color's probably faded, so it's not giving an accurate representation of what it originally was. And that's what happens in our head with information. Sometimes, you know, these boxes of stuff, sometimes they bump up against one another or fall over or get jumbled and mixed up. So now we've got this information that's supposed to go in this blue box and this other information that's supposed to go in this red box. But now they've sat next to each other for too long and everything's coming out purple. So nothing's quite accurate. Which brings us to the point of how we can never quite trust ourselves completely and without fault. We muddle memories all of the time. Have you seen Inside Out? The first one, not the second one. I have not seen the second one yet. I'm very excited about seeing it. But the first one, you know, they're on a train or something somewhere, I don't know, and they have these boxes that they accidentally knock over, these boxes of facts and these boxes of opinions, and they're trying to put them back in, and Joy's like, how do you tell these apart? They all look the same. And was it Bing Bong? Pretty sure it was Bing Bong that was on there with her. He was like, they get mixed up all the time. Just put them in a box. It doesn't matter. That's basically exactly what happens to us in real life. So how do we fix our brain attic? Yeah? Well, step one is just being aware of all of these things that I've already said. And, you know, step two is just how would you fix a regular attic? For one, you would start by cleaning it. Yes? And now this part takes a little bit of work at first, but, you know, just like you have to make a mess in order to clean a mess, if you're trying to clean a closet that's jam-packed full with stuff, you have to first pull everything out and then sort through it so that you can then put it back in a neat, organized manner. And doing this with your brain is pretty much the same essential concept, which again is where meditation and journaling come in great. Absolutely wonderful tools for this. Because it's kind of a lifelong process, especially if you're new to this concept and you've spent your entire life with things piling up in your brain attic. Nobody's ever told you to clean your brain attic. We didn't know that this was upkeep that we needed to be doing. But basically, you have to start looking at all of the things in your head. I recommend looking at using your emotions to help you get going with that. Because we're all emotionally driven, right? And we all just really, really want to have more better emotions more often. Why else would you be here listening to this? For the sake of knowledge, maybe. But, I mean, if you're here for the sake of knowledge, it probably makes you feel good to have knowledge, yeah? But most likely you have some sort of problem that's giving you bad emotions that you're hoping that I can help you fix. And you're in luck. I know a lot about this topic. Of course, there's only so much I can cover per single episode, so if you want like some one-on-one personalized stuff, please reach out to me. That's always the best way to like really start feeling the progress. Nothing beats one-on-one work. But anyway, cleaning your brain attic just means looking at everything going on in your brain, which sounds unworkable, right? Because how can you look at everything that's going on in your brain? It's just, there's a lot of stuff there. It's not like you can print off a checklist and just start going at it, right? So instead, you carve out some time to either sit with your journal or meditate, which just means sit with yourself, give yourself time to think, and ask yourself what's bothering you right now. Can you pinpoint one thing that's bothering you right now? and then just sit with it and analyze it. Ask it to speak to you. Ask your brain, like just be like, sit there and let things come up. Trust that whatever is coming up is the truth. But, I mean truth as in how you've perceived it to be. Because truth is relative. The villain is always the hero of their own story, right? Truth is relative. So remember that. But if you create the space for these thoughts to be processed, they will absolutely come up to be processed. They want to be processed. They want you to look at them. They want you to give them some attention and to break them down and figure out what's going on with them so that they can stop muddling down various aspects of your life, holding you back from that which you want, be it good emotions or relationships or abundance manifesting or whatever. If you have a non-helpful emotion that's distracting you and taking energy away from progressing towards what you want, then it's an issue, and we need to clear that. We need to clean it out of our brain attic. And to do this, we just have to take it and look at it and analyze it and find the truth behind our truth. Where did it come from? What purpose does it serve? Did someone give this to us? We're not going to waste time on being mad that they gave it to us. Someone probably gave it to them, and then they thought that passing along is just what you do. They didn't know any better. And that's not me making excuses for anybody. They should have known better. But we can shoulda, coulda, wouldas ourselves to death. Ultimately, it's a waste of time and energy and brain space. Instead, we have to figure out how to find acceptance for the fact that they gave it to us in the first place. And the more acceptance that we have for this thing, the more it starts to dissipate and vanish from our brain attic. Let's say, some sort of trauma. And we're imagining this trauma in our brain attic as one of those enormous teddy bears that you get at, like, the fair. Like whole person sized. This thing is just taking up all of the space. And the more we learn to accept that it exists and it's a thing that was given to us, the smaller it becomes. That acceptance is the healing process. The more acceptance, the more healing, the smaller it becomes. Instead of a teddy bear, a better analogy is probably like tubs on top of tubs of junk and stuff that you inherited from your family when someone died. Or maybe they're not even dead. They just dumped all of their trash, all their junk that they didn't want in your attic. Which is exactly pretty accurate for how most of it happens. Like, here you go, child of mine that was born into my family, unto me. This particular heirloom relic has been passed down for centuries through our family. It is called abuse, neglect, addiction, anger, narcissism, yada yada. 'Twas given to me at a very young age. 'Tis my duty to carry on the family tradition of giving it to you now. Because, see, like, we don't know any better. We don't know that we don't have to accept this gift. Or, when we're kids, we have no choice but to accept this gift. But then we just keep carrying it around with us, mad about it, resentful, struggling really hard not to pass it on because these things are pretty sticky. They don't want to be let go of, and they do want to be passed on. It's like they have minds of their own. Like a possessed porcelain doll, essentially. In Lord of the Rings, when Gandalf gave Frodo the ring, and he was like, the ring wants to be found. It does not want to be destroyed. It wants to get away from you and be found by somebody else who's going to help it get it back to where it wants to go. And how crazy did that ring make him mentally? Look what it did to Smeagol. That's exactly what all these haunted relics in our brain attic is doing to us if we don't get that stuff cleared out. But it's not easy. It's not. It takes time. It takes practice, especially with the big stuff that's been stuck for a really long time. Some of that stuff's been glued to your attic floor, and you got to get some heavy-duty elbow grease in there to get it unstuck. But it does get easier with time and practice. It feels super overwhelming at first. But once you start making some progress on things, you start being aware of the patterns that pop up over and over again. Because that's exactly what happens. It's just patterns over and over again. And once you're aware of the patterns, then you can more easily recognize them when they come about. And then you can more easily clean them. It's like, oh, you're cleaning the goo and the gunk out of your brain attic. The first time you're like, I don't know what to use on this. Does it need a solvent? Does it need an acid? Let me try some Clorox. Let me try some Pine Sol. Let me try some acetone. Geesh, nothing's working. Let me try this over here. But then once you're aware of the patterns, you're like, oh, I've seen this one before. Let me just throw some acetone on this. Take care of it real quick. Oh, look at that. That pattern needs bleach. And then before you know it, you're cleaning things as they're coming in, and you got a nice, clear, pristine brain attic. And once it's all free and clear, actually, you don't even have to wait until it's free and shiny and clear and clean. You can start putting other different things in it as soon as you like. Because again, it's all about what we encounter, right? So everything we interact with is attributing to our brain space. Again, either by default or intentionality. And we want to be as intentional and mindful and aware and purposeful as we can. Because again, our attic's only so big, right? And we need everything to be clean and clear and easily navigatable. You want to be able to walk around in there easily without accidentally knocking towers of stuff over. So you want to be super picky and choosy about what you're bringing into your brain space, which means your life space. It's your environment, it's your relationships, it's your consumption of media and food, literally everything, which is kind of overwhelming these days because we have a constant influx of information via screens always attached to us. You have to decide what's worth your time, your space attic space, and what's not. It's essentially minimalism. Being picky, being choosy, being bougie, deciding what's worth your time, your energy. Because even the best of lives, the longest of lives, are too short. And we don't have time to be messing with stuff that brings us down, that creates sticky goo in our brain attic. Zero toxicity policy over here. Ain't got no time, ain't got no space for that nonsense. Only that which serves us over here. Only that which makes us happy, which makes us calm, which makes us feel loved and whole and purposeful, fulfilled, achieving our goals and bringing all that we desire to us. We ain't got no time for all that other stuff. We're keeping our eyes on the prize. We are focused. We got our head in the game, and we ain't worried about the fans on the sidelines jeering at us. And the more you practice that discernment for what is worth your time and what is not, the lighter you're going to feel, the clearer you're going to be, and the more space you're going to have, the more time, the more ease, the more flow. Like they say, it's either a hell yeah or it's a no. It's either a enthusiastic, absolutely yes, that sounds great, or it's a no. And it's not personal. It's just you doing what's best for you. Because life is too short, under the best of circumstances, for us to be miserable and sad and angry and bogged down. We got stuff to do. We got things to make happen. And again, it's kind of hard at first, but momentum will grow. Energy flows where attention goes, and from there it grows. I know a daily journaling practice or meditation practice sounds really taunting for people, and like, we ain't got time for that. What do you mean we gotta do this every day? But again, the mindset, perceived reality is everything. If you want more ease, peace, and flow, you gotta create space for those things to be. Getting started is the hardest part of anything. So if you're a journaler and you know that you prefer journaling, the hardest part of that is getting your journal and sitting down, opening it, and putting pen to paper that first time. Once you get yourself to do that initially, get going, then the rest of it just kind of flows. I love journaling, but I find it a little bit more energy and time intensive than just meditation, because you have to go get your book and your pen, and I don't know about you, but most of the pens I pick up suddenly don't work, and I have to go find like 3 more before I find one that works good. Whereas meditation, I don't need any tools other than my head. And I've always got that attached to me. So in the mornings, as soon as I wake up, I go onto the back porch and lay down in my hammock. So I'm just changing one bed for another, honestly. And from there, I just check in with my thoughts, check in with my body. What's trying to be communicated with me today? How do I want my day to go? We ain't trying to waste any day on default things. How do I want to feel today? What things do I want to get done today? Where do I want to place my attention today? If I'm having trouble focusing my attention today, why? What's distracting me? What's blocking the way of flow? Peace, ease, happiness, joy, yada yada. Do I need to sit and analyze that and clear and clean that out? And this process may take me 3 to 5 minutes. It may take me 20 plus. It just depends. Every day is a complete new fluctuation on the roller coaster of life and our energy levels. Consistency doesn't actually look like what you think it does. It's a lot more fluctuative, a lot more up and down, a lot more all over the place than you think. I did a whole episode on consistency and how it's not what you think it is. And then sometimes during the day, if I get tired, I'll return back to, or frustrated, or angry, or if my current calibration is not where I want it to be, I return my butt to the hammock and figure out why in the form of meditation again. Because meditation is only just sitting with yourself, exploring yourself, learning about yourself, recalibrating yourself, intentionally focusing things where you want them. And then again at night, which I don't have any problem sleeping anymore. I used to be, insomnia. I used to not be able to sleep ever at all, no matter what. I would just for hours lay in bed because I couldn't cut my thoughts off, right? And you know why? You know why that happens to us? Because we're not creating space throughout the day for these thoughts to be heard and listened to and analyzed and communicated. So when we lay down at night and there's finally not a whole lot going on, our mind's like, thank God, finally, I have some space to talk. Can we talk now? It's a relationship like any other. You have a spouse that you neglect, then it's going to eventually be very explosive and demand to be heard. But if you're listening to them throughout the day and you're helping and you're looking for solutions and you're being a team player, then they're a lot happier and they're chill and they'll let you sleep at night. Makes sense when I put it like that, don't it? Stop covering your thoughts up with distractions. Stop turning away from them when they try to talk to you about their emotions and feelings and stuff. But like I said, I don't have any problem going to sleep now, even though I definitely used to, for sure. But now that I'm giving myself time and space to communicate with myself on a daily basis, I pretty much go to sleep as soon as my head hits the pillow, just like my husband, snoring immediately. But point being, at night when you lay down to go to bed is also a great time to give yourself 5-10 minutes to work through things. And but also try to work on relaxation techniques specifically at that point in time at night before bed, because you don't want to just lay there for 30 minutes. You don't want to do that. Sleep is important. So if you learn how to relax and you just actively relax, melt deeper, then you're going to have an easier time going to sleep as well. I guess I could do an episode on sleep for you if you want me to, on how to get there. But, I think we've covered a good bit, solid material here on this episode, and it's already 20 minutes, which is, I don't know. What length do you like episodes to be? Let me know, and I'll tailor them specifically to that. Do we like 10-minute episodes? Do we like 30-minute episodes? 45? An hour? More? You tell me. I am not going to talk for more than an hour just with myself. I'm probably not going to be able to make it to 45 minutes just by myself. But I can try to get guests on that'll talk longer. I can talk longer with guests. But let me know what you like. Let me know what you think. Let me know about your questions about the subject at hand and what subjects you want to see covered moving forward. You tell me your problems and I'll tell you some solutions if that's what you want. We have Thursday episodes now they're not episodes, they're meditations where you get a meditative tool. It takes me about 3 to 5 minutes to give it to you, and then I give you about 5-ish or so minutes to practice it. Whole thing's about 10 minutes. Invaluable stuff, so check those out. New series, other things coming too. I just have to get it worked on a little bit. Just need some more time before we can launch that, but I'm super excited. But I love you so much. Thank you for being here. Thanks for sticking it out to the end. Good luck on the cleaning of your brain attic. I'll talk to you later. Namaste.